This is to prevent the further spread of global jihadist agenda of the Buhari government and to arrest an imminent ethnic and religious genocide.
Uncolored report on EndSARS at Lekki on October 2020. Members of the panel are now getting essentially targeted by agents of Nigerian government. They have been unfairly persecuted already just for coming out with their report that heavily indicted the government of liars. Since the submission of the EndSARS panel report to the governor of Lagos State on November 15th, 2020, members of the panel have become subject of vicious attacks by those suspected to be agents of the government. Number of allegations have of who got completable name. Confirmed that no member of the panel ought to be appointed into the panel. As a matter of fact, in my own case, His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, appealed to me, which I saw as a call to national service. The primary reason the governor gave to me then was that he wanted men and women of integrity, independent and not subject to manipulation, to be on the panel. Just today, my attention has been drawn to an interview by a senior counsel to the Lagos State government to the effect that panel members collected bribe in the course of the assignment. It is unfair, ungodly, and least expected of the government and its. The Lagos State government asked for 2 weeks to enable it to release a white paper on the report submitted to it by the panel, and we have been waiting. But it would seem that the Lagos State government has now unleashed mindless propaganda upon panel members, whilst at the same time asking for restraint from the general public. I have in my custody proceedings of the panel and all exhibits standard before the panel in respect of the Lekki 2 Gate investigation. I urge the government to call its agents and lawyers to order so as not to provoke aggravated responses. It is unfair to seek to denigrate people's hard-earned reputation on account only that they accepted to render selfless service at the behest of government. Strength from attacking others. Nothing stops us from defending our integrity. I should not become a victim of unwarranted attack just because I accepted to serve the government and the outcome of that assignment did not favor the expectations of the government. Suffice it to mention that I worked with men and women of unblemished integrity, and I'm proud to be associated with them all. I to His Excellency Sanwo-Olu to call all agents of state to order and keep to his promise to us to release a white paper within 2 weeks and to send the unedited report of the panel to the National Economic Council. Signed by Ade Lekki, Lagos. Nigeria now will resort to attacking the panel members like they didn't deliver the kind of manipulated report they were most likely hoping for. The report has turned out to be a huge embarrassment to the government, to the military, to the police, to the federal government and their agents, especially Lai Mohammed and the rest of them who has been in denial, lying and continuing in their lying ways. Here's one man coming public, exposing the hypocrisy that is the Nigerian system, that system that is condemned never to work well. Very sad. Sucks to be Nigeria. Here's an article penned by the Secretary General of Lower Niger Congress and the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Tony Nadi on May 21st, 2021. It goes this way. Freedom of setting your own roof fire. Investment funds countrywide facilitated miserably by the Caliphate imposed 1999 that received a great boost when Buhari, the great flame, marauded his via the Boko Haram campaign back in 2015. The situation certainly required strategic to Nina's grand script that would oust both and that brings them to our various poor folks, especially in diaspora and particularly in who mocked what being done by the LNC and Ninas as mere academic exercise. Action. And on shouting but at the full breath invitation with impunity. Maybe when the blood festival that Nnamdi Kanu has been preparing for the Fulani and Nigeria in Igbo land gets fully underway, and when sufficient blood is shed in Igbo land to satisfy the bloodthirsty demons being invoked by the chief merchant of the Rogue Biafra franchise, the unthinking and dishonest Igbo cheerleaders of Nnamdi Kanu's lunacy will become sober and honest enough to proclaim very loudly to the hearing of both the global partners in Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu is the cause of the great calamity that has befallen Igbo land. Until then, let us continue in our dishonesty and folly of clapping and cheering for the bloodthirsty lunatics setting the Igbo roof on fire in the name of a totally meaningless Biafra restoration. No one is rejoicing about Nigeria's current genocidal onslaught in Igbo land and against humanity now being committed in the East by the illicit federal government of Nigeria. But while all steps are being taken to get that to get hard, the next is the guy taken up by the World Igbo, whose leader is in his US. Word for this. Hailing and expressing support for the so-called Eastern Security Network set up the massive military operation was unleashed in Igbo land by the federal government of Nigeria as a reaction to what Kanu was doing. This WIC World Igbo Congress advertised
tendencies go to suggest that unless I decree, let us take the issue of anti-grazing. Somewhere a woman goes to plant cassava, yam, and he cannot reap her sweat because a cattle comes in and eats up all the crops. And the people are saying, ranch, you are insisting that writing or not, that animals must continue to go around to eat up other people's crop. So the animal or the owner of the animal is not the master of the person who, the farmer whose crops are being eaten up. And if the person whose crops are being eaten up is dares to resist, he is arrested by DSS, police, and imprisoned. So you see, these niceties, this way of putting things so that we'll be seen as one united until we begin to say things the way they are, see them the way they are, accept that there is complete, that injustice has become part of the national milieu, national psyche, that to be a victim of these projects is no longer going to be discussed. Until we begin to accept that, when we accept it, we do introspection, we look at it and say, okay, let us correct them. But if you continue to say nice things, oh, fairness and equity, unity is not negotiable. These are the things that are fanning the embers of disunity, agitation for separation. I tell you, no group of people genuinely want to separate and go away from this country. But they are saying that the Constitution of Nigeria is a fraud in itself. Look at let us take the fact. The VAT decree was made by the military, whereby they took away sales tax that is usually collected by local governments and made it a federal law. And they went back to say that all decrees made by the military are now acts of the National Assembly. Section 5315 of the Nigerian Constitution today converted all military decrees to acts of the National Assembly. So we didn't make the laws. The National Assembly was not in place at that time, but all the draconian decrees made by the military have become imported into our constitution as product of the national acts of the National Assembly. Is that fairness? Is that equity?
Nigeria is fraud. Everything about Nigeria stinks to high, like to the pit of hell, like stinks like skunk. A very criminal enterprise that, has no other country that comes even close to compare it with. It's unfortunate that we're still, dealing with this. How many years now? 55, 56 years later. The pathetic country.
Fulani Empire, Muslim theocracy of the Western Sudan that flourished in the 19th century. The Fulani, a people of obscure origins, expanded eastward from Fouta Toro in Lower Senegal in the 14th century. By the 16th century they had established themselves at Makina, upstream from the Niger Bend, and were proceeding eastward into Hausaland. Some settled in the 19th century at Adamawa, in the northern Cameroons. Many of the Fulani continued to pursue a pastoral life. Some, however, particularly in Hausaland, gave up their nomadic pursuits, settled into existing urban communities, and were converted to Islam. In the 1790s a Fulani divine, Usman Dan Fodio, 1754–1817, who lived in the northern Hausa state of Gabar, northeast of Sokoto, quarreled with its rulers. Accusing the Hausa kings of being little more than pagans, he encouraged the Hausa people to revolt. Joined both by Hausa commoners and by Fulani pastoralists alike, the jihad, or holy war, swept through Hausaland and, repulsed only by the Eastern Empire of Kanem Bornu, engulfed Adamawa, Nupe, and Yorubaland to the south. After the invasion by the Fulani of the northern provinces of the Oyo, the Emirate of Ilorin to the northeast became the base from which Islam was to spread among the Yoruba. Usman, who was more a scholar than a statesman, ceded the practical direction of the eastern part of the empire to his son Muhammad Bello, who settled in Sokoto, and the western, with its capital at Gwanju, to his brother Abdullahi. All three continued the Fulani denunciation of Bornu. The empire reached its zenith under Muhammad Bello, who, like Usman, administered it according to the principles of Muslim law. The decay of this system was to aid the establishment in the late 19th century of British rule over what was later to be known as Northern Nigeria.
Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to?
Constitutional force majeure. Make I talk am again. Constitutional force majeure. Oh yeah, hear am again. Oh. Constitutional force majeure. That's not the new reigning motto where they don't come out for the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. NINAS. Constitutional force majeure. Now waiting we go take forward march to freedom all the ethnic nationality them where they don't throw away inside cage for this dungeon where they call Nigeria. If you never know us before, now we be the people of Middle Belt and South. We don't join hands together to formulate the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. NINAS. Listen to this one. On 16 December 2020, now we don't declare a constitutional force majeure on the fraudulent Nigeria Lai 1999 constitution. Now the Yeye Fulani ethnic minority carry this sufferness throw away for the head of the people who get the land in the first place since 1999. As they don't condemn that 1999 Wayo constitution, NINAS don't direct the Nigeria government to gather a national roundtable meeting. Make we for talk the kind style where we go take sit down for inside our region, on top country where we dey sleep for only one eye. This now waiting that big grammar constitutional force majeure go do suffering and smiling. It don't do. Nigeria people don't suffer rich. Waiting we never see. Nigerian people don't chop fear for mouth. All the land of the South and Middle Belt don't turn to river of blood. Waiting all because of this evil Nigeria 1999 Lai constitution. I beg, true to God, they don't push us reach the wall. Nowhere to go again. Enough is enough. So therefore, everybody, make una come. Make we join hand now with NINAS. Make we for support the constitutional force majeure to free ourselves from the Fulani British captivity so that we go forward march into a free nation where your security and development is guaranteed.
I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to?
Now the Voice of Liberty International bring on this story.
Fellow Nigerian, in search of excellence for Africa, my mission remains to create awareness, advance practical solutions, and transform mindsets via case studies. Together, let's midwife deliverance for our race, country, and continent. Please share this video. I am Dr. Israel Noyanem Davidson. Thank you. In 2001, US-led forces overthrew a Taliban-led Afghan government following the 9/11 attacks led by the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. For the next 20 years, the US and allies enforced democratic ideals, built up Afghan security forces, and provided operational air cover. The Taliban continued to attack. Now, eventually, under President Trump, the US promised to pull out if Taliban agreed to stop attacks and hosting terrorist groups. Today, the Taliban militants have declared Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and overrun most of the country at lightning speed with little or no resistance from the 300,000 US trained and heavily equipped Afghan forces. US general could not believe an army could crumble at that rate.
I did not, nor did anyone else, see a collapse of an army that size in 11 days. There'll be many postmortems on this topic, but right now is not that time.
It is believed the Afghan soldiers, though diehards, had unquenchable allegiance to jihadist ideologies practiced by Taliban. They were Afghan soldiers by day, Taliban at heart, and Taliban at night. A situation some suggest currently exists in Nigeria too. So Afghanistan was simply handed over to the mullahs to govern based on their shared jihadist ideological leaning. The south and middle belt of Nigeria should wake up with urgency. The Afghan situation is cooking fast in Nigeria today. Afghanistan is number 1 on global terrorist list. Nigeria is number 3, second to Iran, with Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani Herdsmen militia currently operating unhindered in the territory. You cannot fight religious ideology with guns or democratic ideas, particularly when the people themselves are not wired to accommodate change. See the cost of 20 years of U.S. efforts at enforcing peace, progress, and civilization in Afghanistan, and still they failed. 72 journalists and over 400 aid workers were killed. Between 66 to 69,000 Afghan troops killed. 2.7 million Afghans flee abroad and 4 million displaced citizens. 3,000 U.S. troops killed, 21,000 wounded, and over 3,000 U.S. private security contractors also killed. Over 1,000 NATO coalition personnel killed. $2.3 trillion spent prosecuting Afghan war. As with Afghanistan, the Nigerian armed forces cannot contain the spread of Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani bandits. They have sympathizers within and highly influential individuals in the corridors of power who share jihadist ideologies. There are reports of emerging new and more deadly armed group in Zamfara state today. As in Afghanistan, should the ethnic nationalities in the South and Middle Belt break away today, in less than 16 weeks, ISWAP and Fulani bandits may likely take over the whole of the Northeast and West and declare a caliphate or Islamic Republic with little or no resistance. Afghanistan today is a big lesson and an urgent call on Southern and Middle Belt political leaders to force a total restructure of Nigeria now or break it. Please set aside greed, selfishness, and worthless 2023 political ambitions and unite for the sake of your citizens. Despite unfolding calamities across Nigeria, Southern and Middle Belt Christians continue to take comfort in biblical texts alone, believing their lands are beyond conquer because God is alive. Of course, I believe He is. However, they forget that modern-day Turkey was once almost 100% Christian and hosted Apostle Paul, Apostle John, and a number of saints. Nigeria is not as holier or much loved by God than Turkey and Afghanistan. Turkey was overthrown by the jihadists while the Christians had all eyes closed. Today, Turkey is more Islamic than Saudi Arabia. Nigeria, as currently configured, is sitting on a tinderbox. We have an army and those in power gifting thousands of militants, far worse than the Taliban, with amnesty, reintegration into society, logistics, and other incentives. Southern agitators demanding an end to the killings, raping, and displacement of citizens are hunted, killed, or detained without trial. In 2000, President Trump forced the release of 5,000 repentant and rehabilitated Talibans from prison and reintegrated them into the Afghan society. Many returned to the battlefield, worsened the security situation in Afghanistan, and strengthened Taliban to overrun the country. Will the Nigerian rehabilitated Boko Haram terrorists be any different? I doubt it. August Punch editorial warns, the South is being tactically de-Nigerianized indirectly. Able citizens are being forced out in droves via mismanaged economy, insecurity, and frustration caused by mediocrity. The Nigerian system celebrates mediocrity, ingrained in the Nigerian constitution as quota system and federal character. It is an agent of slavery, fraud, injustice, underdevelopment, and impunity in the south and middle belt of Nigeria. Aggravated discontent and killer herdsmen and bandit activities are driving separatist agitations in the south. The Nigerian police and army respond with violence in communities. Today, it is easy for southern young men in transit or even at home to be tagged terrorists or Yahoo boys and shot dead. Raising young men in the southeast has become a scary enterprise, the Punch editorial concludes. Look, for these reasons, the best option now for the south and the middle belt must be to force a restructure of Nigeria or walk away from this union before too late. You cannot force a hyena to become a vegan. That's the truth. Afghan Christians and professionals are fleeing their country en masse, fearing for their lives. And professions, UK, US, and other European countries are offering help. Who will come to the rescue of Nigerians? Should the South and Middle Belt, fail to act decisively right now? You see, time is running out. Now, those clamoring for restructuring are not doing so out of hatred for Nigeria, but because northern Nigeria is dragging the rest of the country back to the Stone Age and into the abyss with it. You see, now is the time to demonstrate political skills, leadership, vision, tenacity, courage, and immunity against Takia. To save Nigeria and generations to come, let's initiate a genuine dialogue now. Restructure or break up. Look, perhaps, as Bishop Kuka cried out loudly recently, it's time to end Nigeria so that people who want development can go ahead. God bless our homelands. Thank you.
All that he was talking about will be taken care of through referendum. A binding multi-regional referendum. That's what will sort Nigeria out through a democratic process, through the ballot box. The people, the indigenous people, the indigenous nationalities of Oduduwa, Lower Niger Territory, and the Middle Belt will vote on their continued stay in Nigeria.
The U.S. Center for Security Policy declares that Nigeria under Buhari is in SLS situation and recommends immediate intervention before it explodes. The speaker in the following article is Frank Gaffney, introducing the segment of coordinated press conferences in Nigeria at the National Press Club, Washington, D.C. on January 17, 2019, with the theme Nigeria at Breaking Point, where Tony Nnadi of the LNC made a lead presentation. Below in the comment section is also a clip from Tony Nnadi's presentation. Enjoy listening.
Again, the purpose of this event is to try to make sure that the Congress of the United States, the administration, this country, our friends and allies around the world, and not least, of course, people of goodwill in this country and elsewhere, are on notice that Nigeria is at risk of disastrous collapse, that the forces that we've just been talking about are in the process of taking down a country that is the most populous in Africa, with horrific implications, not just for the immediate vicinity, the Lake Chad region as it's known, but for that continent and almost certainly others beyond. Congressman Wolf mentioned Bono, talking about a catastrophe that would make what has happened to Europe in the past few years, as a relatively small number of people migrated there with unbelievably chaotic consequences, look like a day at the beach by comparison. But we're on notice. And the question is, do we have to wait until this horror is upon us before something is done about it? Or do we take steps now to try to prevent that? And I don't think any of us is saying that this is a panacea, but the appointment of the appropriate individual with the requisite authority. I just wanted to underscore what Congressman Wolf said about having the President of the United States essentially personally empowering Senator Danforth to lead the effort on behalf of our country to alleviate that situation. That has to be done again, and it has to be an empowering of a person with the stature and the capabilities needed to do two really vital things. One is to pull together the government agencies that have responsibility for pieces of a problem like Nigeria. The Defense Department, as well as, of course, the State Department, USAID, the UN mission of the United States, the National Security Council, and others, to come together with a common, appropriate, and much needed policy approach. And then secondly, at least as importantly, to be able authoritatively to represent what that approach is to the government of Nigeria. So they know who they're dealing with. They know that this is in fact the policy, and they can't go, looking for people who will provide some sort of alternative that might not require as much of them. So it's those two vitally important things that have to be done. And on behalf of, again, the Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition and team, I just want to say, I think this is a moment of truth, a moment when we will find a difference being made by an administration that is about making a difference on behalf of religious freedom and those who are being denied it around the world. And let me just take a moment to say, as bad as this situation is, it is just one of the areas in the world in which particularly Christians are suffering. By some estimates, it's as small a number as 215 million Christians being brutally persecuted. By others, it's as high as 500,000. Excuse me, 500 million. This is on our watch. It is unconscionable. It must be challenged, contested, and if possible, stopped. And that's what this coalition is about. And I pray that we will be able, with the help of people like Congressman Estes and Congressman Wolf and the Archbishop and our coalition and countless others, to see this problem sorted by the appointment at the earliest possible moment, preferably by the end of this year, because these elections are approaching, of an individual with the requisite authority of the President of the United States and the assignment of making both the U.S. government policy coherent and clear and effective, and communicating that, again, authoritatively to the government of Nigeria, who in the end is ultimately responsible for preventing this catastrophe.
Opening prayer. O God, our Heavenly Father, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, O God, who delivered his people Israel from the oppressive stronghold of Egypt. You are great and you are our God. O God, we ask for forgiveness for all the sins we have committed against you and your heavenly hosts. If you do not forgive our wrongdoings, Father, who will? We, your peoples, place before you our weaknesses, our helplessness, our concerns, and our endeavors. Most merciful God, you are the Lord of the oppressed, and we entrust everything we do into your able hands. Heavenly Father, look with pity upon us, your children. We are weighed down by social injustice, political instability, poverty, hunger, unemployment, insecurity, oppression, brutality, and enslavement by seen and unseen, known and unknown forces that seem to overcome us. Father, we place ourselves, our liberation movement, our search for lasting solutions to these numerous problems created for us by known and unknown forces into your mighty hands. We also look upon you for provision of both human and financial resources to carry out this enormous task of our liberation project. Bring your lasting solutions to them so that we may live the life you have created in us as peoples created in your own image and likeness. We also commit our leaders in your hands. Direct all of them and direct all of us as we continue to move forward towards our self-determination. Channel us with your everlasting love to our final destination, which is total freedom from captivity and enslavement that we all seek. We pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ our Lord.
Muslim extremists are accused of waging a campaign of ethnic cleansing against Christians in Nigeria. One America's Neil McCabe has more from Washington.
National security expert Frank Gaffney told One American News that all over the world, people are targeted because they choose to follow Jesus Christ. But right now in Nigeria, it has become a slaughter.
Nigeria is in the midst of an incipient civil war in which both indigenous forces, some from far removed, who have in common what I call Sharia supremacism, are engaged in a ethno-religious cleansing of Nigeria.
Gaffney said the ethno-religious attacks on Christians had many layers. One is geography, with the country's heavily Muslim northern states officially governed by Sharia law. It is also in the north where terrorist groups where Boko Haram and West African ISIS operate freely. Then there is also the local anti-Christian militia called Husa Fulani. Roughly half of Nigeria's 200 million people are Christian, but they are clustered in the center of the country and along the Atlantic coastline. These Christian regions are also where the oil and natural resources are located, meaning that the anti-Christian jihad is fueled by a quest to seize these riches. Gaffney said the humanitarian crisis for Christians can no longer be ignored.
The trouble with this scenario is not only the bloodletting of innocent people simply because they follow Jesus Christ, but large numbers of those people will be fleeing. The resultant mayhem.
The graduate of Georgetown's Foreign Service School said, the ongoing destruction of Nigerian Christians will go down as one of the worst genocides in history.
We're witnessing a persecution of Christians on a scale that makes what Pol Pot and Hitler and Stalin and Mao did in their day combined pale by comparison.
The human rights watchdog Open Doors USA ranked Nigeria as the 12th most hostile to Christians in their 2018 report. There was, quote, a seemingly constant violence, unquote, against Christians that so far this year has already cost hundreds of lives. Neil W. McCabe, One American News, Washington.
Want to see more? This killing is ongoing and it's continuing. Unfortunately, the world press is not keen in or paying attention to what's going on in Nigeria. There's a targeted genocide in Nigeria
that is being supervised by the current government of Muhammadu Buhari. And there is a sheikh in the north, Ahmed Gumi. He was trained in Saudi Arabia, and he is fraternizing with terrorists who are killing people and kidnapping students. In fact, he gives them money, and he's now planning to open up a school, or if maybe he's probably opened the school up already to accommodate the same terrorists. So terrorism is an official business in Nigeria. While Boko Haram is doing what they are doing, ISWAP, ISIS is coming in. Nigeria's own government-owned and operated terrorist group, Fulani, Mieti Allah, Fulani herdsmen terrorists, owned and operated by Mieti Allah and the government. They are going across the country to kill and destroy the people and make the country an ungovernable place. And the government is behind them, defending them, protecting them, not laying hand on them, not arresting them. In fact, they go after those people that tries to stop the Fulani terrorists, like some
waging an insurgency to try to overthrow the government and rid the country of Christians. Now, human rights groups are asking the White House to stop the carnage. After losing ground in Syria and Iraq, the top general of U.S. Special Operations Command in Africa is warning that Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and other Islamic terror groups are now trying to take over parts of the continent's most populous nation. Major General Dagvin Anderson says Muslim terrorists have set their sights on Nigeria's southern and northwestern regions, and the U.S. is now sharing specific intelligence with the country.
So this intelligence sharing is absolutely vital, and we stay fully engaged with the government of Nigeria to provide them an understanding of what these terrorists are doing.
Their goal? Eventually turn Nigeria into a Muslim country and force Christians, who make up half the country's population, to either leave or convert.
Christians are in the eye of the target, and they're coming after them.
And the numbers are staggering. August 6th, Muslims stormed 4 remote Christian villages in Kaduna State, killing 22 villagers. July 24th, 21 dead, scores injured, and several Christian homes destroyed by militants. July 19th, 19 people killed when assailants armed with guns and machetes attacked a wedding reception. And the list goes on. Leading human rights groups say what's going on in Nigeria is a genocide.
If you look at what's happened on the last 20 years, George, it's just massive number of attacks against Christians. Look, 50 to 70,000 have been murdered.
For years, the main terror group was Boko Haram, which seeks to overthrow the government here and create an Islamic state.
They go after Christians and moderate Muslims. They push a hardline Muslim agenda. It is their intention to establish a caliphate and to just rid all of Nigeria and West Africa of any Western influence whatsoever.
Now, there's a new actor on the scene. In Nigeria's so-called Middle Belt region, where the Muslim North meets the Christian South, a terror group made up of Muslim Fulani herders are killing thousands of Christians. More than 1,400 Christians were hacked to death in just the first 7 months of 2020 by Fulani herders.
Unfortunately, the secular media are quite often biased and trying to present this as a tribal conflict rather than religious.
Nigeria's president, a Muslim, has so far done very little to stop the bloodshed. His police and army are also mostly made up of Muslims.
The attackers are never captured. They are not prosecuted. The security services respond very slowly. A full day can go on with attacks happening and no security shows up. And frequently, the government officials will provide cover.
Helpless and vulnerable to almost daily attacks, leading Catholic bishops are now urging Nigerian Christians to defend themselves. Human rights groups are asking the White House to appoint a special envoy to help end the persecution of Christians in Nigeria.
Unless the world takes note and puts pressure, economic pressure, sanctions, visa bans on the officials who are responsible for this travesty and for not reining in the terror, then Nigeria will continue to be a bloodbath.
Meanwhile, King's Group is helping more than 3,000 Christians who lost their businesses, homes, farms, or land to Boko Haram and Fulani militant attacks. International Christian Concern has created communal farms to give victims the opportunity to rebuild their lives.
When they get back to work, the family is fed, they have a future, the kids can go back to school. It's a restoration of hope. It really is. And it's much more than just economics. It's the whole community. It's all the parts of life, the emotional, the physical, the mental. It means a lot to them.
ICC and so many other groups trying to bring hope in the midst of all this devastation facing the Christians of Nigeria.
And they are doing it.
They are. Absolutely.
Great story, George.
Thank you.
Coming up, new evidence.
Most of us in this National Assembly today, this is there to tell this nation today that this is the problem. This constitution can never give us progress. This constitution can never give us peace. This constitution can never give us unity. And unfortunately, most of us in this National Assembly, we don't have the spine to face what we need to give this republic to have peace and progress. What do I mean? This constitution has 68 items. 68 on the exclusive list. This constitution has only 12 on the concurrent list. And those 12 are written so nebulously, so fraudulently, that you know that the intention is to even undermine those concurrent lists. The formal name of this republic is Federal Republic of Nigeria. Unfortunately, we don't run a federalist system in Nigeria. Otherwise, what is so unique about all those things that are in the exclusive list in this chamber? We try to federalize the police system. In this chamber, we failed. Every crime is local. And the solution to every crime is local. The earlier that senators in Nigeria, someone is correct to say, we should not continue to deceive ourselves. Dare to tell. The 1999 Constitution is still in existence. The northern part of Nigeria will always dictate who becomes the president of Nigeria. And it doesn't matter where that person comes from, that person must dance to the tune of the northern Nigerian elite or expectation. Let me repeat that again. I said, as long as the 1999 Constitution is still in existence in Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria will dictate who becomes the president of Nigeria. And it doesn't matter where that person comes from, that person must do according to what they want. That is the basic reality.
Essentially, the rest of Nigerians are slaves to the Fulani in Nigeria. The rest of Nigerians are effectively their slaves. It's up to us to wake up and realize what is happening and do the needful.
The 1999 Constitution is still in existence. The northern part of Nigeria will always dictate who becomes the president of Nigeria. And it doesn't matter where that person comes from, that person must dance to the tune of the northern Nigerian elite or expectation. Let me repeat that again. I said, as long as the 1999 Constitution is still in existence in Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria will dictate who becomes the president of Nigeria. And it doesn't matter where that person comes from, that person must do according to what they want. That is the basic reality.
Essentially, the rest of Nigerians are slaves to the Fulani in Nigeria. The rest of Nigerians are effectively their slaves. It's up to us to wake up and realize what is happening and do the needful.
Ninas, where we came from, where we are, on the road to freedom. Today, we speak of Ninas, but know that the struggle for the restoration of our sovereignty did not start today. As a matter of fact, the struggle started almost as soon as the sovereignty of the ethnic nationalities was stolen by the imposition of the 1999 Constitution, which maintained a unitary government. With the end of the military regime and return to democracy, there was great hope that the country will be returned to what the people had voted for, and that existed prior to the military intervention in 1966. The hope of the country was dashed when, instead of a return to a federal governance structure with multiple self-governing and autonomous government with their own constitutions, the government was kept centralized in a federal government that kept all the power, the asset, and resources of the ethnic nationalities. Making things worse, this so-called constitution was not put to a referendum, and so was not made by the people. Deprive the citizens of their right to benefit contained in Chapter 2, made federal character unenforceable, gave the lion's share of the oil and other assets to the far north through a federal account sharing process that was exclusively weighted to favor the far north and make corruption official. Let me take you back over 2 decades of our journey. It all started when the military regime of General Abdul Salami Abubakar imposed a unitary 1999 constitution, which in turn was a wholesale rival of the 1979 constitution that was also known to be a victory charter for the Nigeria-Biafra War of 1967 to 1970. When it was made public a few weeks after inauguration of General Obasanjo as president, a better half of those in the legal profession gathered itself at conference and, without much ado, recognized the flaws, loopholes, and selfish intentions, then concluded that the Constitution was not legitimate and would not lead Nigeria to any form of advancement. It was important that the mechanism or vehicle to set up a countrywide rejection of this forgery of a constitution was put in place. The journey commenced when, in 2004, the Pro-National Conference Organization, PRONACO, was established to rework the damaged federal constitutional basis of Nigeria. PRONACO being the People's Sovereign National Conference of Ethnic Nationalities in Nigeria, convened in all ethnic nationalities, and quickly mandated its representation to go back to their people and to come up with ratified draft of how they would want to participate in the Union of Nigeria. The conference sat in plenaries across the cities of Lagos, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Jos, and Kano, then returned to Lagos for the final sitting, and in participation, conveners in the likes of Anthony Ehanuro, Wole Soyinka, Chukwu Emeka Odumego Ojukwu, and similar leaders across the territories. This resolution was an agreement derived from the Composite People's Constitution as presented and defended by ethnic nationalities representation in those sequential conference. And it is important to know that there were observers from the international community, including the US and European Union observers. In August 2006, a delegate from Castina moved the motion for adoption of the draft People's Constitution that emerged from the 29-point resolution of the conference. In furtherance of the Protocol Consensus to restore the federal basis of the Nigerian Union, in 2007, the Movement for a New Nigeria was set up as an enforcement of the consensus at the time to exclude the 12 contiguous northern states that had introduced and embraced the Sharia legal system against the secular basis for Nigeria. The Allies had insisted that democracy and Sharia system could not coexist in the same political space, hence the need for a new vehicle, the Movement for New Nigeria. On the 23rd of May 2007, MMN, through its legal counsel, filed a suit at the Federal High Court Abuja to challenge the legitimacy of the imposed 1999 Constitution, seeking the termination of the entire Constitution. At the court hearings, which had the Attorney General of the Federation representing the federal government, legal representation of the National Assembly, and others admitted the people case which they could not defend the challenge, but insisted that the plaintiff had no locus standi. In English, the plaintiff had no status at law to bring in the case to challenge the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution. Having acknowledged that the restoration of the people's sovereignty did not need the participation or permission of government, the Joint Multi-Regional Vehicle instituted the MMN Lagos Declaration 30th of June 2011, by which the Allies partner blocks, the Lower Niger, South-South, and Southeast, the Yoruba land, and the Middle Belt publicly rejected the Caliphate-imposed 1999 Constitution, mandating regional self-determination actions which included referendum and international outrage. In furtherance to the mandate of the MMN Lagos Declaration, the people of the Lower Niger on the 27th of April 2015 held the Solemn Assembly in Port Harcourt City to wholly repudiate the 1999 Constitution. In that assembly, the 1,885 ethno-linguistic map of the Lower Niger was adopted as a geographical basis of federating. The assembly mandated the distillation of character of relationship as well as asset protection and guarantee scheme to protect the asset of the indigenous people in other blocks of Nigeria. On the mandate for international outrage of the MNN Lagos Declaration, and LNCT visited Capitol Hills, Washington, to make a case for the termination of the operation of Nigeria's 1999 Constitution at the special congressional event on Nigeria in May 2015. The team also made informal consultation for the same matter at the UN headquarters in New York in the same year. 2 years later, still in furtherance to mandate of the MNN Lagos Declaration, the Yoruba indigenous people held the Yoruba Solemn Assembly at Ibadan on the 7th of September 2017. The Assembly publicly repudiated the 1999 Constitution as the basis of the Federation of Nigeria and proclaimed the self-determination right of the Yoruba land to reclaim autonomy of Yoruba land.
Listen to Pastor Paul Adefarosi speak on Plan B. And remember that prior to this, he has spoken severally about the Nigerian Constitution being a fraud, being a scam, being a sham. He is now talking about what will happen in the future if a binding referendum do not happen in Nigeria to sort out the constitutional crisis, the constitutional dispute. He started by speaking about Plan B. You
having a plan B, having an escape route, where to go. So enjoy listening and listening to what the comedian has to say about this. Mekoyo.
Now, I want everybody to calm down. Pipe low. Just watch this video first and hear what this Pastor Adefarasin, everything they talk.
So bring you greetings from Pastor Ifai, who's busy taking care of a frontier of our world and preparing our escape route. If you don't have a plan B, I know you have faith, but I have faith too, but I have a plan B. And with technology, I can speak to you from anywhere in the world. Get yourself a plan B, whether that's an Okada to Cameroon, or a flying boat, or speedboat as we call them, to Seme-Border, or, a hole in the ground, a bunker. Get a plan B, because these people are crazy. They're nutters, the whole bunch of them. And wait and watch the signs, because it can happen like this. God.
You don't do. He says you put their head not correct. They be like, now I don't understand the thing. Their head not correct. These people will start fighting anytime. If you want to run. These people, when I talk and say we got opportunity to jackpot, make it jackpot, and they tell me say, if everybody run, who is going to take care of the country? Who is going to fight for this country? I know somebody has to fight for this country, but the truth is this: there are those who are born to fight, and there are those who are born to clap. You understand? But wisdom, they say, is profitable to direct. You know this statement? They say, no place like home. It is sweet for mouth if you are abroad. Some of the people that are saying, let's stay together and fight for this country, let's stay together and fight for the unity of Nigeria, most of them, they're abroad. They're abroad. If you have opportunity to jackpot, run. Now listen to you, Lo. You, they talk, say, if we are not going to jackpot, I'm the man sent by God. You are the man sent by God. Fight for the nation. A lot of people want to run. Me personally, not be say I want to run, no. You understand? I'll just discharge more. Not be say I go run. I go just they pray for now. You understand? Because this country, people when they talk there was a country, we not understand what it means. It simply means this country don't end since. You understand? Now the remnant will be living. If you have opportunity to run. No. In Genesis 12:1, if I'm not mistaken, God tells somebody, say, come out for this place. Go where I want to show you. If now Canada, God won't show you, run, go. This country not be. The few people are going to say we have to stay and fight for this country. Then they chop belly food. This country, when people they chop belly food. Now you know, say we are going to, if you have opportunity to run. No, not listen to anybody. You understand? Travel, go abroad. No, I know I go see smarty way. Allow Mohammed don't come out and say if anything happens to Nigeria, our professors will be selling toothpick in Togo. My question is, even the Nigeria where they are they not worse than people who are selling toothpick in Togo? Yes, now, a nurse who travels from Nigeria and go abroad, we go there, gather enough money, build house, buy car, and take care of family. But a doctor, qualified doctor, surgeon in Nigeria, not fit pay rent. If you have opportunity to run, no. Because where this country they go now, so.
And ramifications. Now, Nigeria is a member nation. All non-Muslim religions, such religions shall include Christianity. The word Christianity in the communique was underlined. To ensure only Muslims are elected to all political posts of member nations, to ensure the appointment of only Muslims into strategic national and international posts of member nations, to ensure the ultimate replacement of all Western forms of legal and judicial systems with the Sharia, then to make sure that this strategy works, because it's going to require money. Babangida, as the first appointed president of Nigeria, put his hand into the treasury of Nigeria, took $21 billion out and gave it to OIC, to the Islamic Development Fund of OIC, and said, take this money for the total, I'm quoting, for the total Islamization of Nigeria in particular and Africa in general. Babangida paid $21 billion of our money to turn Nigeria into an Islamic nation. And they have started. Boko Haram, don't look at it as something that is isolated to the northeast. It is meant to cover the entire nation until Christianity is eradicated in all its forms and ramifications. Now, this was not mentioned in the introduction because I don't think that is something that I want to talk about, but I just have to mention it. So God told us to go to Turkey and learn certain things. September last year, God spoke that if care is not taken, in 30 to 40 years, Nigeria will be like Turkey. And God told him, go and learn what happened to Turkey. Now, Turkey used to be 100% Christian. Today, Turkey is 96.04% Islam. Christianity in Turkey is 0.21%. And God is speaking that if you don't take care, Nigeria will end up like Turkey. Christianity was in Turkey for 1,123 years. Islam uprooted it. Christianity in Nigeria is 172 years old. If we take the starting date from 1842, when Methodist Reverend Bach Freeman arrived in Badagry, you will remember that the Catholics came first in the 13th century. They did some church planting around Warri and Benin Kingdom. They left in 1622. Then the Methodists came back in 1842, about 200 years after that. Now, it is that coming of the Methodists that has now developed to what we have as Christianity today. So effectively, Christianity in Nigeria is 172 years old. Now the point is this: if Islam can uproot the one that had been planted for 1,123 years in Constantinople, tell me, they can't uproot the one that is just 172 years old. As a matter of fact, the spiritual foundation of Turkey, Nigeria does not come near it. Because the 7 churches that Jesus Christ wrote letters to, in Revelation 2 and 3, all those 7 churches were located in Turkey. All those 7 churches. Apostle Paul, the champion of the church, was a citizen of Turkey. The Macedonia vision that Paul saw, come over to Macedonia and help us, Paul received it in Turkey. Turkey had solid Christian foundations. Islam uprooted everything. So if the Nigerian church is deceiving itself, hey, there is fire on the roof. Oh. We go to the north. It's not that I'm living in Lagos, somebody is bringing information. I go there. To Maiduguri, to Kaduna, to Kano. I go to meet the Christians who are being persecuted. And I must protest that the church in the south is a selfish and a wicked group of believers because you abandoned the Christians in the north. Look, God is the God of justice and God is the God of judgment. Let's not provoke him to repay us with our wickedness. Because if God looks at what the Christians in the south have done to the Christians in the north, he will fold his hand and allow Boko Haram to deal with us. We have to go to US. We have to go to Canada, to Poland, to Australia, to New Zealand, to raise Christians that will help and support Christians in the north. Nigerian church is not lifting a finger. It's not that you don't have money. The Nigerian church has money, but they help nobody. They only take and take and take. They don't give jack. I have to skip some things. The sin of irresponsibility. When God spoke, he said the Nigerian church is guilty of the sin of irresponsibility. So the church in Laodicea, God says, you are blind, you are wretched, you are naked. So the church in Sardis, God says, you have a name that you live, but you are dead. So the Nigerian church, God says, you are irresponsible. What Yoruba is called Oniranu. We have been given so much, we have delivered so little. We only think about ourselves. We are consumed with our comfort.
Nigeria, jaga, jaga. Everything's scatter, scatter. Command suffer. Bossa, gunshot in the air.
I beg, which kind abomination be this one? Where common manager for company go carry the owner, tie am with rope, throw am inside prison and take over in business. Where you don't see this kind of abomination before? Hey, only for Naija. True. It don't dey sure back and say Nigeria know the ruling people well. The country know they benefit anybody. Now him make Nigeria they crawl for belle like snail. They follow other small country them for back. Now him make them they call us the capital of poverty in the world. Chai! Shame on Nigeria. I beg. Enough is enough. Because of this reason, the indigenous ethnic nationalities of Middle Belt and the South, under the umbrella of the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, they don't join together on 16 December 2020 to declare a constitutional force majeure, CFM, over a sovereignty quarrel, where then they ask only two questions. One, which time we take submit ourselves, our land, our assets, even our natural treasure, into the force by force Nigeria Union? Hey, which time self we follow make for ourselves the year 1999 Nigeria Constitution? All na lie, all na story, na daylight robbery be this yo. But we get work to do for inside all this matter. Oh yeah, this one na must to make we join hand sharp now with the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS. Now then won't tear down that fraudulent lie 1999 Constitution so that we can forward march and start a new beginning for everybody. I beg, make we join together to sign that petition where we title End Apartheid Nigeria by restoring the self-determination rights of ethnic nationalities. It is for all media platform of Daughters of Truth, BVI Channel 1, Heritage TV UK, and www.freedomfromnigeria.com. If you sign this petition, say you don't follow more than 20 million signatures them where we they collect for take show the United Nations. Remember, say not only us fit free ourselves from the oppression, repression, marginalization, and subjugation which the Nigerian country don't carry jamming on people for head. Now the Voice of Liberty International bring on this story.
Lower Niger Radio is your station for all things about self-determination, nation building, and liberty. With all the challenges and insecurity in our ancestral lands, the survival of our peoples and the political arrangements they decide on is our goal. We discuss solutions. We bring you messages of hope, truth, and trust. So, tune in today. Lower Niger Radio is the voice of liberty for the ethnic nations of the South, South, and Southeast. We are here for the peoples of Anang, Bini, Isan, Efik, Ibibio, Igbo, Ishekiri, Icho, Igede, Kalabari, Obolo, Ogoja, Ogoni, Okrika, Urubo, and all the others. Lower Niger Radio, your voice of liberty.
On the position of the Igbo traditional leaders and the organized religious bodies, the joint body acknowledges the statement by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, in which he affirmed that the federal government was open to a political solution to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case. This statement is in line with the proposal earlier made by this joint body and other well-meaning persons and groups in Nigeria. This body therefore eagerly awaits the concrete steps that would be taken in this regard. Igbo traditional and religious leaders made this statement. Now, this press release advertises a tacit agreement between the rulers in Abuja and the Igbo traditional and organized religious institutions to utilize the ongoing trial of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the group he leads as an object for seeking a political solution, unquote, to the gridlock in which unitary Nigeria has found itself. Agreeing to a political solution with a personality and agenda that are nebulous and often controversial is as good as agreeing to nothing when the chips are down. This press release is nonetheless a tacit acceptance that the ongoing trial of the IPOB leader and all the drama associated with it are expected to come to naught unless a political deal can be worked out to negotiate the so-called political solution sooner than later. The Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS,
has not only identified the political solution as the abrogation of unitary Nigeria, but has also established a practical roadmap for empowering 200 million fellow stakeholders to retake control of their God-given ancestral lands as an inalienable right. Those who currently expect spectacular outcomes out of the ongoing trial of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu have cause to moderate their optimism after reading through this release from the caucus of Igbo traditional and religious leaders. I counsel those who are seriously looking for a political solution out of today's national conundrum to reach out to the Ninas. They should also become part of the ongoing constitutional force majeure, CFM, by helping to mobilize the largely poorly informed masses at the grassroots. The time for playing to the gallery is over at this juncture. Those who are truly interested in terminating Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's incarceration in Abuja should join the Nina's ongoing endeavor to bring about a political solution to the unitary imposition that has crippled a once hopeful Nigeria. The Constitutional Force Majeure CFM bandwagon should deliver us to the long-awaited political solution. This was written by Dr. Okenwanwos, the head of LNC US.
Lower Niger Radio is your station for all the amazing topics on history, culture, and self-determination. We discuss ways we can solve our collective problems created for us by seen and unseen, known and unknown elements. We take you from the starting point to your destination. We promote and uphold our cultural, social, and moral values. Tune in today and listen to amazing personalities and be entertained as well. Lower Niger Radio is your voice of liberation for the peoples of Anang, Bini, Eshan, Efik, Ibibio, Ibo, Ishekiri, Ijo, Igede, Kalabari, Ubolo, Ugoja, Ugoni, Okrika, Urobo, and others. We bring you messages of hope, truth, and trust. Lower Niger Radio, your voice of liberation from slavery.
Brief introduction of our Lower Niger Radio. Lower Niger Radio is the initiative of a few individuals who saw the necessity of enlightening and educating our peoples in the Lower Niger Territory on the urgent need to be part of this liberation project of all the ethnic nationalities that are entrapped in the union of death Nigeria has become for them. Following the events happening in Nigeria today and always, I am sure nobody is happy with Nigeria as currently constituted. However, the owners of their respective ancestral lands in the South and Middle Belt formed a strong alliance for the single purpose of self-determination. This alliance is called NINAS, the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, which declared a constitutional force majeure, CFM, on the 16th of December 2020. NINAS has three blocks, the Lower Niger, the Yoruba, and the Middle Belt blocks. NINAS cannot be pensioned without connecting it to the Lower Niger Congress. So, seeing and recognizing the enormous good work the Lower Niger Congress had been doing all these years, these few individuals formed a media team to help the Lower Niger Congress bring these messages of hope, trust, and truth to all our peoples in our homeland. These peoples include Anang, Ibibio, Efik, Ishan, Ijo, Idoma, Igbo, Kalabari, Bini, Itshekiri, Urobo, Obolo, Ogoni, Ogoja, Ugep, and so many others. Join us today and be part of the People's Revolutionary Movement for total freedom from the oppressive and brutal caliphate-imposed document called 1999 Fraudulent Constitution. Power belongs to the people. Lower Niger Radio is your voice of liberation.
Corruption called Nigeria that must be tackled urgently.
Everyone knows that Nigeria, as experimentally constituted in 1914 by the British colonial masters, has evolved into a full basket of problems, wars, miseries, and controversies for the indigenous peoples, who are mesmerized, confused, brutalized, and outrightly denied human rights on a daily basis. Nigeria is suffocating everyone in Nigeria. Children, youths, men and women, families are directly and indirectly affected. At the entrance gate of a university in South Africa, an inscription reads, "Destroying any nation or country does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of a long-range missile. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by students. The consequence is patients die at the hands of such doctors, buildings collapse at the hands of such engineers, money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants. Humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars. Justice is lost at the hands of such judges. So, the collapse of education is the complete collapse of a nation or a country. Nigeria, as a divergent ethnic nationalities forced to be in one political union, the center no longer have the capacity to hold together democratically, such as plastic union. So, because of this simple but complex reason, nation building is quite impossible in Nigeria. Indigenous peoples, their sovereignties, assets, and resources are being hijacked by the Fulani Caliphate through an imposed 1999 fraudulent constitution. So the Fulani Caliphate dominates and rules over the rest of us as infidels. The same Sharia Caliphate are also feudalists who believe that all men are not born equal and that they are born to rule over the rest of us in the toxic Nigerian Union. As a consequence of this feudalist worldview by the Sharia Caliphate, which translates to a master-slave society, the insistence by the rest of Nigeria on democracy, which is premised on the equality of all men, translates in the imagination of the Sharia Caliphate to a direct challenge on their master-slave worldview, and therefore an affront against the master by the slave, which is punishable by death. The situation to the majority of the people, the South and the middle belt of Nigeria precisely, therefore, is that of being guilty on two separate counts that each carry death penalty. A lot is very wrong with the current fraudulent constitution that does not allow for referendum for self-determination. Consequences on this fraud are a lot of hunger, hardship, anger, unemployment, frustrations, killings, corruption, injustice, nepotism, subjugation, marginalization, insecurity, political rape, election manipulation, ethno-religious killings, economic conspiracy and strangulation, and so many other human casualties. All these woes are traceable to this 1999 fraudulent caliphate imposed constitution, and this is untenable. Another blindfolding ploy by the caliphate is to use a political game against the gullible politicians from the alliance territory of South and Middle Belt to go into elections in 2023. Some political actors from the alliance territories do not seem to sense the danger ahead by thinking that a slot for Southern presidency will solve the hydra-headed problems in Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria can be solved by a president coming from Southeast or Southwest or wherever. Ninas is saying that all political parties should close shops. all political parties should close shops, and all politicians should retreat and surrender to the will of the peoples. All politicians should retreat and surrender to the will of the peoples, and they should be among the movement. They should join the movement of the peoples to decommission the fraudulent 1999 Caliphate imposed constitution because it is not paying any person good. And the people say no more elections under the current 1999 fraudulent Caliphate imposed constitution. The peoples say all the ethnic nationalities which make up the peoples say no more elections under the current 1999 fraudulent Caliphate imposed constitution. Power belongs to the people. Power belongs to the people. For more information and to learn more, visit the websites www.ninasvoice.org, www.ninasvoice.org, and the other one is www.lowernigercongress.org, www.lowernigercongress.org. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned in the Lower Niger Radio always and get more information, get more enlightened, and get more educated. Thank you. God bless you. Lower Niger Radio, your voice of liberty, the voice of the peoples in the Lower Niger Territory. Today, we look into some current affairs. As we all know that Nigeria, as currently constituted, is supposed to be a secular state. But in practice, it is very far away from the reality. The 1999 imposed constitution is a master slave document, and that makes it a monster. And it has become toxic to the indigenous peoples. And the peoples in the Alliance territory are saying that 1999 constitution must be decommissioned. Christians are relegated to the back seat as infidels and slaves. So, we want to roll out some facts that most of the strategic positions and appointments are controlled by the Northern Fulani Muslims. And the examples abound. Number one, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a Fulani Northern Muslim. Senate President is a Fulani Northern Muslim. Speaker of the House is a Muslim, but from the south. The Deputy Speaker of the House is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Chief of Staff is a Fulani Northern Muslim. Secretary to the Government of Federation is a Northern man. The INEC Chairman is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Chief Justice of Nigeria is a Sharia lawyer, a Fulani Northern Muslim. The President, Court of Appeal, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. EFCC Chairman is a Fulani Northern Muslim. President, Federal High Court, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. National Security Advisor is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Chief of Army Staff is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Chief of Air Staff is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Chief of Staff is a Northern Muslim. The Comptroller General of Customs is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Defense Minister is a Fulani Northern Muslim. Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Managing Director, NDIC, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Controller General Immigration, Fulani Northern Muslim. The Controller, Nigerian Correctional Center, Prisons, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Controller, Fire Service, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. The Director General, NYSC, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. In addition to the above, the highest looters are found in the north, mostly Fulani Muslims. The richest in Africa, Aliko Dangote, is a Fulani Northern Muslim. 85% of petroleum marketers is a Northern Muslim, maybe dominated by the Fulanis. 80% of oil block owners is a Fulani, are Fulani Northern Muslims. 99% of Almajiris are in the north, mostly the Fulanis. Highest rate of girl-child marriage are in the north and practiced mostly by the Fulani Muslims. The fourth world most deadliest terror group is the Fulani herdsmen, Fulani jihadists in the north. Boko Haram is a terrorist group controlled by the Fulani Northern Muslim. They are killing Christians and moderate Muslims in the north. Fulani herdsmen and Fulani militia are terrorizing farmers and Christians, mainly in the north and in the Middle Belt and South. 90% of Nigeria's past presidents and heads of states are Fulani Northern Muslim. Nigerian membership of OIC was arranged by the Fulani Northern Muslim. The poorest states and educationally backward areas are in the north, controlled by Fulani Northern Muslim. Fulani are culturally nomads. 2023 general elections is another game they plan to play against the South and Middle Belt regions of Nigeria, otherwise known as NINAS, the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. They urge you to obtain PVC plastic cards while they hold all the money and AK-47 and AK-49 to control your lives, assets, and sovereignties once you vote them in. So, why should you allow yourselves in the South and Middle Belt regions to keep empowering the Fulani Caliphate domination by participating in the general elections that renew the life of the same Caliphate imposed 1999 fraudulent constitution? This is a big problem that needs an urgent solution. So, the Nigeria Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, has offered a legitimate non-violent strategy, and it is a movement of the owners of the land. You in the Middle Belt, you in the Southwest, and you in the Lower Niger territories are urged to join NINAS movement today and exercise your inalienable right to self-determination. Power belongs to the people. Power belongs to the people. Join the movement today and say no to 2023 general election. Say no to 2023 general elections. For more information, visit the websites www.ninasvoice.org and www.lowernigercongress.org. Thank you for listening, and tune in always and listen to Lower Niger Radio, your voice of liberation from enslavement. Apparently, it is your voice of...
Good morning again, President Joe Biden.
President Joe Biden, Nigerian people is calling for referendum. Welcome to New York, President Joe Biden. United Nations, that's President Joe Biden. Show his video. That's President Joe Biden. Nigerian people is calling for referendum. President Joe Biden, we want referendum in Nigeria. Nigeria is about to snap. President Joe Biden, convoy. Nigeria is about to snap. Do not allow Nigeria to snap, okay? We want referendum in Nigeria. President Joe Biden, Buhari is a terrorist. Buhari is a terrorist. We want 1999 Constitution to come down. 1999 Constitution is nepotic in nature. Buhari is a terrorist commander. Nigeria occupies the third position on global terrorist index presently. After Afghanistan, after Iraq, Nigeria is next. Please do not let Nigeria snap. President Joe Biden, the world leaders, New York, all the world leaders, we're calling upon you. Nigeria, we want referendum. United Nations, we need you to send peacekeeping forces to Nigeria. Nigeria is about to snap. Nigeria has over 210 million population. The world will not be able to contain the refugee that is going to spill out of Nigeria. Nigeria is about to snap. Nigeria is about to snap. Nigeria is about to go to civil war. Nigeria is about to snap. We're calling on the good people of the world. We're calling on the world leader. The Buhari of Nigeria is a terrorist commander. Nigeria is the third position on global terrorism index. Thank you to United States of America Security and Law Enforcement. People, NYPD, officers of New York, for keeping United States of America safe, for keeping New York safe. We thank you, we like you, we love you. We say God bless you and your family. Please continue to keep America safe. I wish I could say the same of my motherland, Nigeria. I am originally from Nigeria, born and bred in Nigeria, and a naturalized America. I wish Nigeria is as safe as America, but no thanks to Buhari. Buhari is a terrorist. He's a terrorist. He's the patron of three major terrorists in the world, being the Taliban, Niyati Allah, as well as Boko Haram in Nigeria, terrorizing, oppressing, victimizing, and terrorizing the people of the South. Where are those pictures? Let me show people this picture. These are human beings. Where is the picture that shows the head of human beings? These are real.
People in Benue State are getting attacked, beheaded, their homes and their farms destroyed under the watch of Major General Muhammadu Buhari, who came as a Fulani champion to dominate Nigeria, to subdue Nigerian indigenous nationalities, to become slaves to the Fulani, in fulfillment of Ahmad Bello's statement on October 12th, 1960, barely 10 days after Nigeria gained independence, that the new country will be their grandfather's estate, Ottoman Danfodio. Ahmad Bello said this. So Muhammadu Buhari is carrying out that mission in the year 2021. When he speaks to Southerners, he speaks with a lot of venom. He sent soldiers to kill Shiites in southern Kaduna and Abuja. On several occasions, they were buried in mass graves. Under his watch, Boko Haram has gained more space in Nigeria, outside of Borno State. Boko Haram has gained more local governments. Under his watch, senior military officers are getting killed by Boko Haram and other terrorist groups, even inside the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna. Under Buhari's watch and SARS, citizens protesting the killing of fellow citizens by Nigeria's own police. I mean, Nigeria's police and military, they are worse than the colonial enforcers as well as the slave dealers. Nigeria represents far worse than the slavery era. They killed NSAS protesters, removed their body, 96 of them, according to the report by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up by the Lagos state government. They killed them, removed their bodies, and the next day they came with water tankers to wash away their blood in order to conceal evidence. Lai Mohammed is still Minister of Information, Minister of Misinformation and Lies and Deceptions in Nigeria as we speak. He hasn't resigned yet. Issa Pantami, that has been fingered as a terrorist sympathizer, is still in the government of Nigeria. Muhammad Buhari's government gave out over $100 million to Fulani herdsmen owners, Mieti Allah, to keep on fighting and killing people and taking over their land, replacing communities. An active genocide that happened in Rwanda is repeating in Nigeria in the year 2021. It's been ongoing and continuing, yet the world is keeping quiet. That's amazing. That's very, very unfortunate.
To our religious extremists, go to the market now and present your Christian or Muslim identity to buy goods at a cheaper price. To our party diehards, go to the petroleum station and present your PDP or APC membership card to get fuel at 45 naira per liter. To our regional extremists, go to PHCN and tell them I'm from the north, south, east, or west, and buy tariff at a cheaper price. To our tribal extremists, go to the market and tell them I'm Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, Yoruba, or any tribe in Nigeria, and see if they will sell you a bag of rice at 7,000 naira.
The era of the angry black man is becoming the black responsibility era. It's about looking within to find reasons for being victimized and addressing them. It has become very imperative for the victims of the catastrophic rape, pillage, plunder, and deprivation currently going on in Africa, especially Nigeria, to rise up and take charge of their collective destiny. The stench of death, the evil, thick darkness, and the signs of impending doom looming and lurking around can no longer go unnoticed. What do you do when you are daily exposed to horror, yet you have no voice to express your woes because the perpetrators of your woes have silenced you with the barrels of gun they placed over your head? It is time for the indigenous peoples trapped in British Caliphate colony of Nigeria to lead the initiative to end and correct the evil done to them and their peoples. It's no more acceptable for the beneficiaries of the ongoing abomination to tell us what to do, let alone lead this all-important life-saving conversation. However, there is a way to do it. But how would you know and understand this way? If you refuse to listen to those who initiated this project about 20 years ago, unlike you, remember, they have taken time out to study the pitfalls and landmines on this chosen pathway. So for safety reasons, everyone cannot direct at this time. How come you like Nina's proposition but hate the messengers? Are you like the proverbial dog who refused to pay attention to the whistle of the guide because he has accepted that getting lost is his fate? You keep asking, why should it be him, her, them? As our enemies approach to swallow us while we have the key to our escape in our hands, bickering like toddlers. How can it be that we're so intelligent, yet our intelligence has refused to work for us? How is it that we are so spiritual and religious, yet our spirituality has refused to work for us? Is it the barber that lacks barbing skills, or is the hair clipper that is not sharp? Or could it be both? Please join Daughters of Truth for a thought-provoking session of their Saturday talk show, Saturday, November 20th, 2021. Here are the times from different time zones around the world. Central, 9:30 a.m. Texas Central Time, 10:30 a.m. New York Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. local time in Nigeria, 3:30 p.m. London, 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, PST, which is Vancouver time. You can also check this out on Lower Niger Radio 24/7. It's there. or YouTube, or even on Facebook. Thanks for listening.
Did you know that Peter Afunanya is DSS spokesperson, Onyema Nwachukwu is Army spokesperson, and Frank Mba is police spokesperson?
They are serving as spokespersons to Nigeria's DSS, Army, and police, while the same forces are serving as occupation force, killing and burying people in mass graves in the southeast. They are joining the Fulani in making sure that the population of the southeast is reduced, and not just southeast, but in the south, southwest, and middle belt, they are continuing on genocide across Nigeria. These are the things that will see to Nigeria's end, and we want nothing other than a binding referendum that will take place across the Lower Niger Territory, Oduduwa land, and middle belt to decide our future moving forward with Nigeria.
Block to the middle belt that has a Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, Adamawa. All of these places you hear about killings in recent times, they are Christians, but they were part of the northern Nigeria that was governed for almost 80 years by these, Muslim far north that now has 12 states. And where we are now is that they've gone beyond just proclaiming Sharia for themselves, contrary to the provisions of the Constitution that brings Nigeria together. Nigeria is a secular union between all these blocks, and it was carefully, decided to be so. And even at the time independence was being negotiated, that part that has gone back to Sharia now wanted Sharia. But the British, had to set up a commission that settled some of those questions, and they removed, with the compromise was that Sharia was removed from the table, and they brought in what they call the penal code, so that the middle belt that was part of that northern region of the time could be in that region, being Christians and not be molested. So it was a fundamental part of the discussion of how that middle belt could be part of that north, and by extension, how Nigeria could be one country. Because if the middle belt that is sharing the Hausa lingua franca with the rest of the Sharia belt to the upper north, could be so indisposed, could be so reluctant to become a part of a region that will be governed together with them included, you can then imagine the South that have nothing in common, not religion, not language, not culture, not even any serious commerce. And so it became a fundamental thing that Sharia should not be brought near the union.
Yeah. Let me just take a moment, because I think our audience is pretty familiar with this term, but just to help again characterize what the problem is. Sharia, of course, is an Islamic doctrine that is described as the path or Sharia law by some. It is truly a comprehensive way of living that all faithful Muslims are supposed to conform to, and it is characterized by a really brutal, supremacist, misogynistic, and otherwise freedom debilitating kind of code that, if imposed on others, typically is to their great detriment. Either it will result in their extermination if they don't convert, or at the very least their sort of reduction to a sort of dhimmi status, as it's called, as second or third class slave citizenry. So when you're talking, Tony Nadi, about the northern belt populated by people who do practice Islam according to Sharia, and by definition, thereby, are ordered to try to expand its reach through jihad. This inevitably was going to make it tricky for people in the Middle Belt or the South if there was not some check on the expansionist tendencies of the people in the North. And what has, of course, happened since that constitution was adopted, I guess with the encouragement of the Brits, has been the rise of what some call Islamist tendencies or simply Sharia supremacist, forces elsewhere, as well as in Nigeria. So talk first about those forces in Nigeria, and then we'll get to some points that you were making last Thursday about the Islamic State and others who are now finding that to be a fertile ground for their supremacist program.
Yes. The thing that has made the Nigerian case a lot more volatile is also the feudalist angle to the Fulani, who are the Fulani is that a supremacist group that have overrun that place and established control. There are people they met there who they basically subjugated to a point of no voice anymore.
Now, again, the Fulani are Islamic tribesmen, as I understand it. They're nomads, but they've become increasingly armed and aggressive towards the non-Muslim population. Is that right?
Yes. The ethnic drivers of this Sharia movement are the Fulani, who themselves are feudalists in their worldview, quite apart from Sharia. They do not believe that all men are born equal. In their world, there's only the master and the slave. And things like democracy is offensive to them. They don't want to discuss. They don't believe that the slave should be competing for space with his master. And the slave is not entitled to anything, including the right to life or property. And therefore, they see the rest of Nigeria as that slave. On one side, being feudalists. The rest of us are slaves in their eyes. On the other side, being Shariarists, the rest of us are infidels in their eyes. So either way, we are already condemned. The rest of Nigeria is already condemned to death, because if you insist on democracy and constitutionalism, you are offending them, because it should be a matter of a master and servant that should never be put in competition. If you then say you are Christian or you want something else, you are an infidel. And in their Sharia, they are entitled to, they owe it a standing duty of faith to kill the infidel. And as feudalists, they owe it a standing political duty to themselves to prevent their slaves from voting away. Because in the subjugation that they've been helped to achieve by the colonial Britain that came working with them and will come back